Hughes is a money expert, speaker, investor, and entrepreneur. After making every money mistake imaginable as a college student, Stephen took a massive action over the course of the next 4 years to improve his financial situation. He's now a financial psychology and behavioral finance nerd and weekly on-air money expert for the CBS Morning News show in Columbia, South Carolina, Metro Stand Up. In 2014, Stephen founded the No Money Inc., a nonprofit that teaches college students how to think and talk about money positively so they can live carefree and responsibly. He's worked with companies to educate their employees and groups, including Blue Cross Blue Shield, Verizon Wireless, Sunoco Recycling, World Economic Forum, Clemson University, University of South Carolina, Rutgers University, Columbia College, Midlands Technical College, Benedict College, Allen University, and now with the South Carolina 4-H Pinckney Leadership Program, because he is here today to share his expertise with us. So Stephen, welcome to the Virtual Leadership Roundup. We are so excited to have you. The floor is yours.
Thank you. Thank you. I appreciate that intro. I might have to take you on the road with me, my friend. But thank you again for the intro. And I wanted to see, just joking. I was about to share my screen, but so I know that with everyone who's in the 4-H program and the 4-H Pinckney Leadership Program, I know that you guys have had excellent speakers as far as the roundup last month and this month. And really, I just wanted to jump in here and talk to you guys about money. I feel like everyone talks about money, whether it's positively or negatively, right? And so before we talk about money, because Rashonda told you all the things that I'm doing now, but oh, okay, she said I should be able to share now. Let me see this. Oh, I can. Nice. Okay. Can y'all see this? Can you drop a 1 in the chat box if you can see this screen right here? Excellent. We're kicking with gas. Okay, cool. So real quick, with education, right? And we're talking about money. I can tell y'all, education was a big deal in my household. I know that y'all are really in tune with education now, being in this leadership program. But both of my parents were born and raised in Jamaica. And they were always on me and my siblings' back talking about how important education was. And needless to say, because in Jamaica, education isn't free. My mom, I can still hear her saying that now. She'd always tell us education is free in this country. You need to take advantage of it. And it got to a point where in Jamaica, if you couldn't get a scholarship to go to high school, then you would pick up a full-time job. So for my dad, he's been an electrician since he was 12 years old. Full-time 40 hours a week, going into buildings, houses, climbing trees and roofs, fixing wires. And, that was a big deal for me and my siblings, because we knew that when it comes to middle school and high school here, you may have to pay a couple of fees, but you don't have to pay tuition to go, right? Unless it's a private school. But when we were younger, one thing that we didn't talk about education-wise was financial education. We never talked about money in my household unless we were talking about how much we didn't have. Not talking about money, plus it was 8 of us in a 3-bedroom house, sometimes 10, depending on who is here from Jamaica. And every now and then the water would be cut off or the lights would be cut off. And while all of those things were happening, we never talked about why these things were happening. We never really talked about money. So needless to say, when I was in college, I made every money mistake possible. I had 7 maxed out credit cards. I had overdraft fees to the point they closed all of my bank accounts and told me to ease on down the road. I had 2 repossessions because 1 wasn't enough, of course. I got evicted from my apartment. My credit score was a 385 at one point, and the lowest it can go is 300, y'all. So I was getting to the bottom as fast as I could. But I was making all those money mistakes, and really I didn't have anybody that I could turn to ask questions about money. There's nobody in my family that, really knew how money or talked to me about how money worked. And so it wasn't until I read a book that really spoke to me that helped me start making some different money decisions and turning my financial life around. And I don't want y'all to have to wait that long, right? A lot of us, we don't talk, like our households don't talk about money in our household. Money and sex are still two big taboo topics across the country. And so I'm only talking about one of them this afternoon. But when it comes to money, right? One thing that I want you to think about is like, how old were you when you first realized like that money was a thing? Like when you knew you wanted something or you needed something, how old were you? Like the earliest memory that you can think back on. How old were you when you realized, oh, I need money to pay for that? Because I still remember, or even now when I see my nephew, he's going to turn 4 next month, but he'll ask for things in the store. And he'll want those, like, hey, I want those Cheetos, or I want those Takis, or whatever. But he knows that money, it takes money to buy those things that he's asking for. So that's a question that I want you guys to think about. And if y'all don't remember anything, if y'all don't remember my name is Stephen Hughes, if y'all don't remember the organization that I started is No Money, the thing that I want you guys to remember is that money is a tool, right? Because I learned this a little bit later after I dropped out of college, that money can be used to build or destroy. And when I was in school, like I was using it to destroy as fast as I could because I really didn't know what I was doing with it. But once I got out of school, I started making some different decisions about my money and how I was using it. And as I started turning my financial life around, I started telling other people how I made all these mistakes and how I fixed them. And when it got to the point of me sharing my story with people and them also sharing their story with me about their financial mistakes, I started reserving like these rooms to just tell people like, hey, this is how I messed it all up. This is how I started getting it back on track. If you have questions about what I did, let me know. And as the rooms got bigger and bigger and more people started coming, I started my organization, No Money, in 2014. And since 2014, like we've been, as Rashonda told y'all, we've been working with colleges all across the country. And well, I can say across the world now that we've done work in Switzerland, but just helping college students think, talk, and really interact with money positively so that you can manage it and grow it better. But with all the work that we've been doing, like with college students, one thing that I've learned with working with people after they graduate from college, and I'm talking about some people, they make $50,000 a year, and some people make $50,000 a month, right? Everyone has the same problem, is that they're trying to figure out where's the money going every single month and how can they keep more of it every single month. And like the number one most important thing that kind of turned my financial life around, we're going to talk about today and really even do an activity in a second. But as we're looking at this slide that says first things first, money is a tool, one thing that I want to ask y'all, and if you could, like, close your eyes and really like go with me here. All right, y'all ain't gonna go nowhere. Just close your eyes and think back to the first time you heard the phrase, money is the root of all evil. And also think back to the person who told you money is the root of all evil. And finally, think back to if you would want to trade spaces with them financially right now. And usually when I ask this question, a lot of people, when they open their eye, like when they have their eyes closed, they're shaking their head like they're in a nightmare, right? Because the phrase money is the root of all evil is not something that really serves us when we're thinking about how we're going to manage our money in a healthy way, right? And for folks who are Christians or Bible followers, they'll correct you sometimes and they'll tell you, well, it's the love of money is the root of all evil is the actual quote that gets misquoted. But I'll tell you, that also doesn't serve you well when it comes to managing money, because subconsciously, does anyone want evil around them? Absolutely not, right? So if you equate money to evil or even being related to it, then think about how you're going to spend your money. Think about how you're going to save your money. Think about how fast you're going to get it out of your hands or out of your bank account when it comes to managing it, right? So One thing that I started doing when it came to the word money is I just traded any sentence that had the word money out, and I exchanged the word money with energy. So with this example, if you change the word money to energy, and we say energy is the root of all evil, it makes no sense for any of us, right? We know we need energy every single day to get up, to do the things we want to do, whether it's working out or knocking out schoolwork or making money at our job or side hustle. And I want y'all to think about money the same way. It's just energy. It's just a tool for us to make ways to what we want to see, right? And as we're talking about what we want to see, I'll ask you guys a question, and y'all can get active in the chat box here because this isn't a lecture by all means. This is a conversation. So the question that I have for y'all, right, is when it comes to like people say that they have dreams, like, oh, I dream of being rich and wealthy. And there are some people who say they have goals, right? What do y'all think is the difference between a dream and a goal? Like anybody, just drop something in the chat box, what you're thinking. Like, what do you think is the difference between a dream and a goal? Okay, I like that. So the answers are starting to fly in here. I see a goal has a plan. A dream is something you want, and a goal is something you hope to achieve. A goal requires a plan. I like that. A dream is long term, and a goal is short term. Dreams seem like it won't happen, and a goal is something realistic. All right. So the difference between a goal and a dream is plan and dedication. So I love these, right? And it seems like we're all on the same page, right? So there are some times that we dream of like having money, or I know I got a friend who's like, you know, I dream of buying my mom and my dad like a big house that they want in an area that they want. Like for me, my dream is to buy some land and a house in Jamaica and make moves to Jamaica, right? But when it comes to our dreams, we can already see, like from our other partners who are in here in this session with us, that you got to have a plan to actually get to the goal. So when it comes to money, one thing that I'll tell you guys is the number one most important thing that really changed the way that I was managing my money and gave me the ability to be an entrepreneur, an investor, like clean up all the debt and the crazy stuff that I was doing before, is setting and hitting financial goals. Because financial goals, no matter what's going on, right? And I want to really talk about like how you can manage your money in these times, but the first thing you need to do to really set a solid foundation, no matter if there's a recession going on, no matter if there's a pandemic going on, no matter if everything is 100% a-okay, you got to have dreams or you got to have goals that you're working towards. Because for anybody who's ever played darts or seen anyone play darts, your goals, like your money goals, are the bullseye on your dartboard. And if there's no bullseye on the dartboard, you're throwing darts all over the place, right? And that's oftentimes how people spend their money. Like if they don't have a specific financial goal, they're just throwing money all over the place. They're spending money like however they want to spend it. And at the end of the month, they're like, dang, where did all my money go? And so we don't want to be in that position, right? So one thing that we're going to do this afternoon is we're going to set 3 financial goals before we like keep rolling. All right. So just to give you guys an overview, how many of y'all, if y'all have heard of setting SMART goals, and SMART is an acronym, drop a 2 in the chat box for me, just so I see like how many of us are on the same page real quick. Okay, we got a lot of SMART goal veterans in here. All right, bet. All right, so for the SMART goals, right? For my SMART goals, I do it a little bit different because I know that the A and the R are sometimes different. But we're going to go through like what each letter means just so that we're all on the same page. And then I'm going to give you guys a couple of minutes to set your own money goals. And then we'll jump back into this thing with examples and everything else. But so first things first, SMART, as y'all see at the bottom of this slide, the S is for specific, right? So every single one of your money goals has to be specific. And what do I mean by that? I mean that when I had a goal, this is 2020. So in 2018, right, I had a goal to buy a car with cash. Okay. And I'm talking about like no car payment because I hate car payments, but I knew I wanted to buy a car cash. Like, how many of y'all think that's a specific goal? If you think it's a specific goal, drop a 1 in the chat box. If you think that it could be more specific, drop a 2 in the chat box. All right. So if you think that how I want to buy a car cash is specific, drop a 1. And then, okay, so we've got a little mix here of people who think, it could be more specific. So I feel you, right? So with my money goal, it wasn't just to buy a car cash. I wanted to buy a car that was 2000 or 2005 cash for $5,000, that had a CD changer in it, a sunroof, and less than 80,000 miles. All right. That was my criteria. And with that specific goal, I ended up finding my car. I call her Nikki because she's silver like a nickel. But I found this specific Honda Accord 2005, had a sunroof, a CD changer. It had 78,000 miles on it. So everything checked out, right? But it was a very specific goal, and I paid $5,100 for it. I planned on paying $5,500, but as y'all can see, like, this is a real specific goal. It wasn't just, I want a car, I want to buy it cash, but there were some like really specific things that needed to happen for this goal, for me to say yes to this car, right? So you want all of your money goals to be specific. The M is for measurable, right? So the S is for specific, the M is for measurable. And what do I mean by measurable? So you will have some money goals that are measured in time, and then you have some money goals that are measured in dollars. So an example of a money goal that's measured in time, if you want to increase your credit score, like if you plan on buying a house and getting a loan or financing, or as we're talking about cars, if you plan on getting a car and you want to get a loan to get a car, like from a dealership or from a car lot, they're going to pull your credit, right? So increasing your credit score to 800 by the end of the year, that's measurable in time, because you know by the end of the year, on December 31st, 2020, I can come up and ask you like, hey, how did it go? What's your credit score at now? For money goals that are measured in dollars, they're kind of like the one that I just gave you guys an example of me buying a car. I knew that I wanted to save $5,000 to buy this car. And once I got to $5,001, I surpassed my goal, right? So you have money goals that some of them are measured in time and some of them are measured in dollars, but either way, they're going to have to be measurable. All right. So all of them are going to be specific and all of them are going to be measurable. So the A in SMART, which is my favorite letter right here, the A in SMART is for actionable. So every single one of your money goals needs to have an action plan to it. We talked about a little bit earlier how the difference between a dream and a goal is a plan. Well, this is what sets everybody apart from just dreaming, right? Because when do we dream? We usually dream when we're sleeping, or we'll dream while we're awake, but we're daydreaming. Like we're not really here in reality working towards whatever it is that we're sleeping or thinking about. But when it comes to your action plan for your goals, sometimes the first step is research, because we may be doing something that we've never done before. Like for me and my siblings, like we're first generation college students. We're first generation Americans. And so we're learning some things and we're doing some things that maybe my parents didn't have any experience in. So I need to research, okay, well, how do I fill out this college application? Or how do I get this scholarship locked in before my senior year? Just different things like that, right? So with whatever your money goal is, you want to make at least a 3-step action plan to figure out, well, what do I do from here now that I know that I have this money goal? All right. So we've got specific, measurable, actionable. The R in SMART is for relevant. This ain't your mama's goal. This ain't your daddy's goal. This ain't your brother, sister, cousin, friend's goal. This is your money goal, because it's your money. Who cares more about your money? No one cares more about your money than you do, right? So it has to be relevant to you before it's relevant to anybody else. And then the T is for time-based. So all of your goals, all of your money goals needs to have a finish line on when you want to actually hit the goal. And so we're talking about specific, measurable, actionable, relevant, time-based goals for each and every one of y'all. So what we're going to do for the next 60 seconds, maybe 2 minutes, is I'm going to let you guys set 3 financial goals. All right. Now, these 3 financial goals can be short-term goals. So something that you want to accomplish in the next 12 months. They could be midterm goals, something that you want to accomplish in the next 2 years. Or they could be long-term goals, things that you're thinking about a little bit further down the road. So 2 years, 5 years, 10 years, things that you want to see or experience after college, all of that good stuff, right? But set 3 financial goals. I'll give you guys some time. I wish I had some Jeopardy music here, but I'm going to mute myself. If you guys have questions about setting goals, drop them in the chat box and I'll answer them for you guys, whether it is talking or I'll jump in the chat box too. But take some time, set 3 financial goals. And if you're taking notes, and I hope everyone is, write the acronym SMART on the top of your note paper, and then write what every single letter means: specific, measurable, actionable, relevant, and time-based. All right, so let's set some goals and then we'll jump back in this thing in a second. Right. So real quick question. If you have set at least one money goal, drop a 1 in the chat box for me. And if you want to take yourself off mute, I'm going to ask for volunteers for anybody who wants to jump in here and we can break down your money goal together just to make sure everybody's on the right track. So if anyone wants to take themselves off mute and we can go over one of your money goals, or you can just drop in the chat box and say, hey, I want to rap about mine, and we'll do that. Okay. So I see there are a couple of people who I saw. Daniel wrote 2. The Redding family wrote 4. Does anyone? So Daniel and I'm not sure who it is who's under the Redding family profile, but do either of y'all want to share your money goal and have us kind of work through it? Oh, Ruth. Okay, cool. Okay. Daniel, go ahead and take yourself off mute, and then we'll talk about your money goal now.
Okay, so the second one I wrote was I plan to have a well-sized savings account and a part-time job next summer that is less than a 30-minute drive.
Okay, I like it. So I would say that these are 2 separate goals. And so let's talk about the well-sized savings account. Is that cool?
Sure.
All right. So I love that you are already focusing on a savings account. But one thing, like the first thing as far as like the SMART acronym is I want you to get specific on your well-sized savings account. So how much money would you have to have in your savings account for you to feel like, all right, this is sizable, we're on a good track?
Well, maybe when I start a part-time job, this summer I have I go over to my friend's dad to help him with some stuff he wants to get done around the house, and I work a couple hours and get $20. But maybe when I start a part-time job, maybe a couple thousand to start saving for a car or help with my car insurance.
Nice. Okay, I love that. So a couple thousand, so $2,000 in your savings account sounds like a well-sized savings account. So this is more specific than well-sized, and I want you to, like, as we're working through this, I want you to update your money goal as we're talking about it. Cool?
Okay.
So instead of saying like a well-sized account, savings account, you want to get specific to say, I want $2,000 in my savings account. And we talked about being measurable, right? So your money goal can be measured either in time or in dollars. And we can say that now that with a specific number, $2,000, would you say that this is measurable?
Yeah, I would say that it's reasonable for, I'm 14 and next summer I will be 15 to work toward being 16, but I'd say that's measurable.
Okay, cool, cool. So we've got a specific money goal. It's measurable. So let's talk about it being actionable or your action plan. So you mentioned right now that you have that you're making some money, like working with your friend's dad every now and then, but you plan on getting a part-time job. What? So I know that there are some ways that you're talking about making income. Do you already have a savings account open?
Yeah.
Okay, perfect. So what are some things that you can do to work towards this $2,000 goal that you have set for yourself?
Well, my mom, a while back started to talk about budgets, and in school last year we talked about budgets and how important it is to budget. And a presentation in Congress said to budget 10-10-80, which is 10% for miscellaneous stuff, 10% for maybe some other things, and 80% for savings, because it's important to save when you're younger. So I hope.
Okay. So 80% savings, that is, so that's pretty high. So that means that when you help your friend's dad, and like say that you make $20 today after helping him, that means that you would be saving a chunk, like that's 16 out of the $20 would go into your savings account. Right. And then $2 would be for miscellaneous spending. And then the other two would, I can't remember what the other 10% you mentioned. But do you feel like that's something that you can keep up with, like going forward?
Well, right now I'm not planning on like the amount in the $20. I'm collecting all of the 20s, and so far I've collected several from chores around the house and working. So I'm thinking about separating the 20s to put in my account and what to keep in my wallet. Maybe not the parts in the 20s, just the collection of 20s.
Okay. Good stuff. So saving all the 20s that you get, and then like any singles or $5 bills you may be keeping in your wallet for yourself.
Yeah, or a couple 20s, yeah.
Okay, cool. So I like your action plan as far as having a plan of saving some money into your savings account. I think that 80% might be a little aggressive, like for starter. But one thing that I can tell you, like as a young person really making some money, one rule that I use is 50%. So
Yeah.
50% of everything that I make goes into savings, like towards my financial goals. And then 50% of what I make is used for like expenses, like my car, my gas, my car insurance, rent, different things like that.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. So I think that that might work for you if you are still trying to figure out like what percentages might be best, is to every time you get a $20 bill, 10 of it goes into savings and 10 of it can go into your wallet. And not to say that you have to spend the $10, but you want to make sure that you are consciously saving towards your financial goals. And I think you can do that when it comes to 50-50 for everything that you get.
Okay. So
All
yeah.
right.
Yeah, 80 is aggressive. So maybe half to go to savings, or 60, and I save 10% for tithing and 30 for whatever else.
There it is. Yes. Perfect.
Okay.
And so the R in SMART, we're talking about this goal being relevant. And is this goal relevant to you?
Yes.
Of course, because it's whose money?
Mine.
It's yours, exactly. And then the T is for time-based. So we talked about your new financial goal of saving $2,000. When do you want to have $2,000 in your savings account by?
My original plan, just getting out on paper, was next summer, but I think that maybe toward the beginning of spring,
Mm-hmm.
2022.
Okay. So you're giving yourself about 18 months to knock this out. So the beginning of spring, so let's say by March 31st, 2022, you will have $2,000 saved in your savings account.
Yes, I'm stretching it out a little bit,
Okay.
but that's just for starters. I might ponder on it a little later.
All right, sounds good. And we'll talk about that. We'll talk about stretch goals in a second too. I think that we have a couple of people who want to jump in here and talk about their money goals too. But I love it. Thank you for volunteering and sharing your goal with us. This is perfect.
You're welcome. Thanks.
All right. And one thing that I'll point out that that Daniel kind of went over as we were talking, and that y'all may have seen, when Daniel first set his financial goal, it was to have a sizable savings in his savings account. And by the end of it, his financial goal was to have $2,000 in his savings account by March 31st, 2022. And he's going to do this by saving 50% of everything that he makes. And he may bump it up to 60%, depending on after he puts 10% away for his tithes and 30% away for other things he wants to spend on. So we got really, really specific at the end of it. But at the beginning of it, sometimes that's how our goals start. But you'll be able to use this framework of specific, measurable, actionable, relevant, and time-based with no matter what goals that you want to set, whether they're money goals or academic goals, or for y'all who want to be entrepreneurs, business goals. Like, you'll be able to use this framework with no matter what you're talking about or whatever you're thinking about that you want to achieve. All right. I'm in the chat box and I see that, let's see here.
Paige is up next.
Okay. Let's jump in here, Paige.
Go ahead and unmute yourself.
Okay, so I have 3 goals, and my goals are kind of long term and for the more future, like 10, maybe 15 years from now. And
that's cool. That's
my
cool.
first goal is I want to have a 2-story gray brick home, and I also want to have a family car, and I want to start a business.
Okay, excellent. These are 3 excellent goals. So out of these 3 goals that you've set, which of them do you want us to kind of break down and go through?
Starting a business.
Starting a business. Perfect. I'm so glad you said that. Thank you. All right. So starting a business, right? So as we're thinking about this goal and thinking about the acronym SMART, so being specific, measurable, actionable, relevant, and time-based, what do you think could make the goal of starting a business a little bit more specific?
So first, I want to make sure that I have the foundation educationally, like wise, and then I want to be able to build my brand kind of, because I want to open my own pediatrics office. So I want to be able to build clientele and different things like that. So I want to make sure I'm strong foundationally.
Okay. And what does it mean to be strong foundationally to you? Is it with learning about how to start a business education-wise, or do you want to have a certain amount of money before you start a business? Give me some ideas on that.
I want to have a certain amount of money before I start a business so that my business can prosper at the beginning and then it continue to build from there, and I won't have a fear of it going downward.
Got you. Okay, love it. So one thing that I'll say, like, as you're thinking about starting a business, is that when you're starting a business, right, the primary focus of starting a business, like the reason why entrepreneurs are entrepreneurs is because they are problem solvers. They're solving problems. And if you are, especially you're talking about something in healthcare, if you're starting your own pediatric office or firm, you're definitely solving a problem because you're providing service for those who need service in that specific areas. So I love it. But the other thing that you also want to focus on is generating profit as a business, right? So solving a problem, generating a profit. And then also for me, it's big to have a community focused way that you're solving this problem. So the solution that you're creating is community focused. So I think that you can do all of those things in your pediatric office. But now we're a little bit more specific than where we were when you just mentioned that you want to start a business. Now we know that you want to start a pediatric office. And as someone who's starting a pediatric office, do you plan on being a doctor or a healthcare professional?
Yes.
Perfect. Okay. So as we're moving into making this a measurable goal, right? It could be measured in time or in dollars. And I know that you mentioned that you want to have some money saved before you start the business. But as these goals are long term, I think that you'll start shaping like what or how much money will make you feel comfortable when you start the business. So let's just think about when you want to start the business, right? Because you already mentioned that you want to be a healthcare professional. And I know that's going to take a little bit of time once you go through college and then grad school and, you know, keeping the party going in school there. But when do you plan on opening your pediatric office?
So I kind of wrote down my life plan yesterday, and
Wow.
I want to kind of have it my pediatric office by the time I'm at least 32.
Okay, good stuff. And so by the time you're 32, and so when is your 32nd birthday?
That would be, hold on, I gotta do some math.
Okay.
That would be in 18 years.
18 years. Okay. So this is perfect. So by 2038, right? What month is your birthday?
January.
Okay. Excellent. So by January 1st, 2038, you are going to start your pediatric office. Yes?
Yes.
Excellent. So can you see how this is a more specific goal than when you had written down that you want to start a business?
Yes.
Okay. So make sure, like, as we're going through this, that you're updating your goal. So instead of saying, I want to start a business, you can write down, I want to start a pediatric office by January 1st, 2038. And you can even name the city that you want to start the pediatric office in if you already know that.
Okay.
All right. So I know that there are a couple of things that I can think of that you will have to take action on to see this pediatric office happen. But let's move on to the A in SMART. So the actionable plan. What are some things that you feel like you need to do before you start this pediatric office?
So I think I need to find like people who are experienced in the field that can also help me, like different mentors and other business owners that can help me, give me tips on how to be successful.
I love that. Okay, so that's one step. Give me another thing that you can do. So find mentors. That's one thing. What's another thing that you can do right now?
Um, I can make sure my educationally wise, I am up to par and everything.
Exactly. And I know that we're pushing close to time, so you may be the last one that we go over the goals. But so these are great actionable steps, and I want you to write these down as steps that you can use now to kind of move this thing forward, right? And I know this is relevant to you because it is your business that you're starting. And now it's also time-based because we know January 1st, 2038, we can find Paige and say, Paige, what up? Where's the new office? And come and visit you in your brand new business.
Okay.
Perfect. Well, thank you for sharing your financial goal with us. And I look forward to visiting your pediatric office when you have your grand opening.
Thank you.
Yes, ma'am. All right. So I know that we are running a little low on time. And so as you all have all set at least one financial goal, most of you set multiple financial goals. So I asked you guys to set 3. Now that you set 3 financial goals, I want you to figure out what's your most important goal. Make a star beside that goal, circle it, put a red alert beside it, emoji, like whatever you need to do to make sure that this goal is at the top of your priority list. Circle that goal because this will be the goal that you work on right now. Like this is the one that you will focus on after we get off this call. And, you know, if you have questions down the road, you can always reach out to me to figure out how can you really drill down and get this goal on track and moving in the right direction. All right. Some people ask me in the chat box, like, well, what's a realistic goal? And I'll tell you all, if you have a goal on your goal sheet of making some type of money, like Daniel wanted to make or save $2,000 in his savings account by by March 2022. If you have any goal that has to do with making money or saving money, I want you to multiply that goal by 10. Okay. So like for Daniel, his goal was 2,000. His new goal would be 20,000. And I'm going to tell you guys why. So when I was making all those financial mistakes that I told y'all about before, I had went to a mentor and I told him like, I need to make an extra $1,500 to give myself some breathing room to pay my bills. Right. And he told me, he was like, well, if you want to make $1,500, you should set a goal to make $15,000. I was like, what? Are you tripping? Like, do you understand that I'm living paycheck to paycheck right now? And he told me, he's like, no, trust me. Like, if you think about it a little bit bigger, you will have to do some more things to get to the $1,500 goal so that you can really have $1,500 in your hand. And one thing that I'll ask y'all, like, do you think that it takes some different activities, or you're going to have to move a little bit differently to make $15,000 instead of $1,500? If you think yes, put a 1 in the chat box for me so I know that we're on the same page. But when it comes to setting this new goal of $15,000, at the time, I was like super into real estate investing. Like I was watching HGTV all the time, like all the shows talking about flip this house, flip that house. But the problem was I didn't have any money to do anything in real estate investing. So I think that at that time I posted on Facebook and just asked, or I was looking for people to work with. And I had a classmate from high school who posted on Facebook saying that they were looking to work with somebody and they had a real estate investing firm. So I reached out to him and he said, well, I'm looking for somebody in Columbia and, you don't have to pay me anything to partner with me. We'll just split everything 50-50 down the middle. And I remember he started showing me the ropes, and I actually got my first appointment with this woman who wanted to sell her house. She had a house in Columbia, South Carolina, but she wanted to move to Charleston and closer to her son. So I'll tell you guys right now, like one of my superpowers is negotiation. Like you have to find out what your superpower is when it comes to what your genius is in this world, right? And so my superpower is negotiation. She wanted to sell her house for $64,000. I negotiated her down to $38,500. So once I put the house under contract for $38,500, the next day, the very next day, I found somebody who wanted to buy that house from me for $46,000. So I said, okay, cool. Can you close in a week? And they were like, yeah, I can bring cash to the lawyer's office, everything else like that. And when we got to the lawyer's office, everybody was signing paperwork. And at the end of it all, the lawyer started handing out checks. And she did a check like with my name on it across the desk, and it said $3,750. And I was looking at it like, what is going on here? And she asked me like, is everything okay? I said, yeah, I just never seen a check with this amount of money on it before. And she was like, okay, well, if it's all right, you need to get out of my office because I have more closings, because this was regular for her, right? And but even that one goal, that one specific check was more than twice what my original goal was. But if I didn't set my goal bigger and higher, I would never even have thought about doing things that, even though we have the same 24 hours to do the same amount of work, I would never even have thought of doing like real estate investing with $0 in my pocket, or learning from somebody or partnering with somebody to learn the ropes. And so as you're trying to make money to hit your money goal, I want you all to give yourself a stretch goal. So to multiply that goal by 10 so that you can think about, and then set your action steps from that new goal. And y'all asked about realistic goals earlier. I'm sure you guys have heard the saying, like, if shoot for the moon, and if you fall, you land on the clouds. That's what I want to happen with your financial goal. Because as I set this new $15,000 goal, I ended up like only making $10,500. But y'all think I was mad? Of course not, because it was almost 10 times more than my original goal. So make sure that you don't set yourself, don't set the bar too low and hit. Make sure you're giving yourself some ability to stretch and get to the goal that you want to hit. We're not going to talk about what could derail your goals right now, but if you guys have questions, this is all of my contact information because I know that we're running short on time. But I did want to leave a little bit of time for question and answer so that I made sure that we didn't miss anything. I know that two of y'all asked questions about realistic goals, and then I think that we had talked about the other question before. But does anyone have any questions about money goals at this point that I can answer? Any questions, whether it's about budgeting, saving, investing, making money as a side hustle or a job, anything. Feel free to unmute yourself, or Rashonda, if you saw something in the chat box that you want to ask, I will answer.
So Ashley, we had a question earlier from Ashley. She wanted to know, did you have any advice on creating a budget plan and investing for a college student?
Perfect. So I do have advice on creating a budget plan. When it comes to creating a budget plan as a college student, the same thing that I told Daniel before, as far as separating your money, 50% saving and then 50% doing whatever else you want to do. The reason why you want to do that is because oftentimes we get to college and sometimes our emergency fund or our emergency savings is non-existent. So if something happens that we weren't expecting, like we have a big car repair, like that's going to cost us hundreds, that's not in our account, we end up swiping a credit card. And when you start swiping credit cards, you start having to pay interest on this same money that you may have saved in the past. So first things first, I would split all of your money 50-50, 50% savings towards your money goals, and then 50% to spend on whatever else you want to spend on. And when you're deciding what you're going to do with the other 50%, right? You should put 30% or 30% towards your expenses, like everything that you have going on. And the other 20% you want to have as a buffer, right? That you can use for miscellaneous things like going out with friends. And in that 20%, you may use some of that money to go out to eat or travel a little bit. But that 20% is not going to affect a lot of the things that, one, your living expenses, like your rent, your lights, your water, your phone bill, things like that. And then two, your emergency savings, because you've already separated your money 50-50 and taking care of like your money goals for that. So I love the question. And then when it comes to investing, it really depends on what you want to invest in. So we're talking about like stocks, like in the stock market or in real estate. Like I have some different tips on those different things, and I can give you more information on that. But I know that we're like running right up against 1 o'clock, so I want to respect everybody's time.
All right, anybody want to go ahead and unmute yourself and ask a question? I want to make sure I give you guys the opportunity to do that. Any questions on Facebook as well? Facebook, if you have any questions, drop it in the live chat. All right. If not, someone did have a question earlier,
Sure.
Cassidy. She wanted to know, and I'm not sure if you kind of touched on this. I think you touched on it a little bit, but she wanted to know, how do you determine if your goal is achievable or unrealistic?
Okay. Yes. So we talked about this a little bit, but I'll address this specifically. So when it comes to your financial goal, right? People use words like unrealistic to kind of put themselves in a box. And really the big thing of your money goal is for it to be relevant. Now, you're going to have some people who will say, well, I want to make $1 million by the time I'm 18. And, if you're 14 years old, somebody will say, well, no, that's not possible. But there's a 14-year-old CEO in Philadelphia, Pennsylvania right now that's running a 6-figure business that'll probably hit $1 million soon. And it's a clothing business. Like it's something he started when he was 12. So when it comes to unrealistic goals, as I talked about, like multiplying the goal that you want by 10. So Daniel's goal from 2,000 to 20,000, and then creating action steps from there. Don't let somebody tell you that your money goal is unrealistic. Like it has to be relevant to you and for you. And honestly, I'll tell you guys right now, a lot of times there are adults who talk to you about money who don't really know how to manage their money, and the advice that they're giving you is because they want to see if it works, because they made the money mistakes and, you know, it didn't pan out for them. So as I mentioned, don't let anybody put you in a box. If you have a financial goal that you want to achieve, set the financial goal and then set the action steps from there. As you get closer to your deadline, then you'll determine, like, okay, is this financial goal, am I able to achieve this? Is this something that will work in what I have, like, as far as my resources on hand, when it comes to my time, my talents, people that I can call on for help. But I wouldn't categorize any money goals as unrealistic right now, because I don't know what you have at your disposal to get to this money goal. And I don't want you to let anyone else categorize your money goals as unrealistic either, because I come from a high school where my guidance counselor thought it was unrealistic for me to go to a 4-year college. She told me that I should go to Midlands Tech and find something to do, right? And now, after going to Clemson University, winning awards as like a top undergraduate, graduate of the university, and now being in grad school at Creighton University studying financial psychology and behavioral finance, I think that what she was saying, like, was ridiculous, right? But she may have thought that my goals of doing these things were unrealistic. And I could have listened to her at the time, and I'll be short. Like, who knows what I've been doing right now? So I hope this is clear for you. Like, I can't tell you that your money goal is unrealistic, and you shouldn't have, you know, anybody telling you, like, hey, this is an unrealistic money goal. You have to decide that for yourself with what's relevant for you and to you, because it's your money.